He's behind one of the most iconic photos in boxing history. He wasn't just a contender in one division. Harlem Tommy Murphy fought across three: bantamweight, featherweight, and lightweight. Murphy made his mark against some of the greatest names in history. From 1903 to 1917, Murphy fought 142 times, winning 87 and knocking out 25 opponents. He fought Abe Attell. So Abe Attell is one of the greatest fighters the sport has ever seen, former world featherweight champion, and a guy who had pretty much almost all of the tools in the bag. And he has a number of great fights. I mentioned the iconic picture. That's because that's him and Harlem Tommy Murphy, and they were going at it, just an absolute war between the two. Abe Attell was also involved in the Chicago Black Sox scandal, believe it or not. Take with that what you want. Mark Allen Baker, friend of the show, he has a book on Abe Attell. I do have it here somewhere, as a matter of fact, but it's worthy of checking out for everyone who wants to get to learn how Abe Attell came to be. Of course, lost his title to another fighter that Mark Allen Baker chronicled, Johnny Kilbane. If you don't know Johnny Kilbane, you want to get that book as well because he is legit. Packey McFarland. Packey McFarland, what more can I say about him? Out of Chicago, one of the greatest fighters in history, arguably the greatest fighter to never win a world title. He actually fought some of the best. You want to name it? He fought, of course, Harlem Tommy Murphy. That's mentioned in this vid, of course, as it relates to Harlem Tommy Murphy. And he also was in the ring with the likes of, he fought him three times former world champion as well, lightweight champion. Darn it, I'm gonna have to get who the heck did he fight? Freddie Welsh. That's who it is. Freddie Welsh. So McFarland fought Freddie Welsh. They fought three times. As we know, Freddie Welsh, former lightweight champion, heck of a fighter right there. McFarland, he was a guy who was trying to get in there with battling Nelson, who had the title during his reign. Also, Willie Ritchie, though they were friends, so Packey didn't want to fight Willie Ritchie. Could have potentially fought Joe Gans also, so that gives you just kind of the information surrounding just how good Packey was. Potentially never lost a fight, 100-plus fights. There is one that has some sort of controversy tied to it, but it's arguable. He could have lost, potentially didn't lose. You have to look at, there's a video on the channel that dives into that, so go to that and it'll give you a full breakdown. It's an hour. It's a full breakdown of Packey McFarland's career. You get to see the kind of where he was able to get to, and kind of what that journey was like. He also fought middleweight great who is vastly underrated, Mike Gibbons, another guy who could have won a world title but didn't. Another one of the greats to never win a world title. Terry McGovern. Terrible Terry McGovern, former featherweight champion. He also went up and beat Joe Gans in one of the most controversial fights in boxing history. Probably the most controversial given the stakes. There's a video on the channel that I just completed not too long ago that dives into that contest. It was in Chicago. Chicago played a major role in boxing back in the day, though it doesn't have that same buzz and fever surrounding the fight game as it did back then. But I feel like, it can still get there. Abe Wolgast. Now, Abe Wolgast, he's another who had the world lightweight title, someone that Packey McFarland wanted to fight and could have potentially fought. They never could quite get the weights right, because lightweight was 133 pounds at that time. Given such, Packey McFarland was pretty strict and stringent about what he was willing to get down to, so that played into it. But overall, man, it would have been a heck of a fight, so that's why he did not get a title. Murphy's biggest shot came in 1914 against Willie Ritchie for the world lightweight title. He fell short, but it didn't diminish his legacy. Harlem Tommy Murphy did fight Willie Ritchie for a title. So that's a world title shot, lightweight title shot. So Willie Ritchie was a heck of a fighter. Friends with Packey McFarland. They were actually sparring partners. And Harlem Tommy Murphy, he was a guy that could be in, step up, and give it to the best of the best there in the division. Though he didn't win a title, maybe had he gotten shots in different phases that could have come to be. And he is one of the best that we don't hear about anymore. Harlem Tommy Murphy. It's self-explanatory in terms of where he's from, but it was an absolute top tier fighter. If he were fighting today, he would be right there in that title mix. And in the 4-belt era, he would have certainly won a title. So those are the type of things you need to know when you're thinking about these guys. The fearless Owen Moran. Owen Moran, the fearless British fighter there. One of the best, former world featherweight champion. And a guy who, just all around top tier fighter. I wanted to do a video on him. Haven't gotten to such as of yet, but he could mix it up with the absolute best. If you don't know of him, be sure to check him out. I have done a smaller video on him. I'm going to link that on the channel. I'll show you the thumbnail, for instance. You can check it out. But fearless, he was a hell of a fighter right there in the British ranks, though he doesn't get mentioned today when you think about the great British fighters. And that's because a lot of people don't really know of him, and he was the man back in his time. So, hey, this gives you a little bit of perspective on him. Murphy gave fans multiple classic encounters. So, in summary, how would you qualify a guy like Harlem Tommy Murphy? Put it like this. He had nearly 150 fights. From a fighting style perspective, he was a guy who was skilled from a technical standpoint, but he often mixed it up. Not a brawler per se, but he wasn't afraid to exchange with the best of the best, with big punchers, whomever it may be. He tended to find himself caught in these scrappy back and forth type fights, so he could certainly bring that out of opponents. Hence the situation with Abe Attell, and that being a classic back and forth bloody brawl right there. To put more context behind it, bloodshed. You can see in the photo in itself that the two of them were actually just giving it to each other, but Attell took the brunt of the damage physically. As you can see, his eye was closed in the picture that is out there. Would be amazing to have that on film. Also, he could mix it up with the other top tier technical boxers in the mix during that period. I mentioned Packey McFarland, one of the best and most technically sound fighters when you look at it from a fundamental standpoint. He really worked on his game, really worked on his weight, his body, the nutritional aspect that goes along with that. So those guys back then, they were thinking about those types of things. Also, think about Owen Moran. The little fighter who could move up in weight, still pack his punch for the most part, but also he got by on his skill set, getting in a lot of work there on the British end, doing it over here in the United States of America. That just speaks to just the level of competition. I mentioned Ed Wolgast, another top tier boxer, doesn't get mentioned a lot, but his skill set was one that would be relevant and blend with today, and he had some classic encounters. So Harlem Tommy Murphy was of that ilk, on that same level, championship caliber and potential. So when you look at him contextually and you think about him as a fighter, his overall career, he is no doubt one of the best. We rank the best fighters out of New York, he's going to be up there. And that's saying something, because we had a ton of great New York fighters. So Harlem Tommy Murphy, I wish there were more information out there on him, certainly from the context of it being video footage. And I think that would show people that he was a fan favorite and one who was scrappy and could tough it out with the best. To get rid of a guy like Harlem Tommy Murphy, you had to go through hell and high water. So much respect to his career. And this just gives a slight glimpse into it. Maybe I'll do something deeper later down the road so we can really get to the breadth of where this fighting style, this intensity and tenacity came from. But I guess you can say Harlem, that's one of those places that can bring it out of you. He may not have worn the crown, but Harlem Tommy Murphy was a contender in 3 divisions, proving his skills, toughness, and legacy as one of New York's forgotten legends. Hey, if you're still there, do me a quick favor. Hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications. That goes a long way, and I'll be able to continue to bring historic boxing content to this channel and the overall platform. We're trying to take it to the next level there. So I appreciate you all. Thanks for coming in, and I hope to see you again.